Hello everyone. We are going to start with the body. Now for the bottom of our body, we are going to use the 5.0 crochet hook. This is, I believe, either Red Heart or Mainstay. And then we are going to change when we start going up to do the body part to the 3.5, just because I want my stitches to be nice and tight, because we are going to stuff it. I am going to put something on the bottom to weigh it down so it stands up really nicely. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope everyone is happy and healthy and having a great day. Looks like we're getting a storm here in Des Moines, Iowa. It got really cold and it's sprinkling a little bit out there. I love gloomy days, so I'm not complaining. So the first thing we're going to do, if you want to use a magic circle at any time, feel free, but I'm always going to just do the slip knot. And that will be hopefully be easy for beginners. I am going to chain 4, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in this very first one. You yarn over and go in. Now we are going to do a total of 12. So this is for beginners also. And I'm sorry, you do need to be able to do the double crochet and single crochet, and then we'll do front and back loops, but it's mainly just going to be these basic stitches. This is my 12th stitch. I'm going to pull that just to see if I can make that any tighter. Okay. Now we're going to slip stitch at the top of that chain 3, and we are going to chain 2. Now in this next stitch, we're going to yarn over. We are going to do 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around. And we're only going under 2 strands. As you increase, it makes the project flat. When you decrease, that's when it will start curving up. We're here at the end, and we are going to go into this stitch right here where we had the chain. We're going to go in there and do another stitch because that did count as a double crochet. Now we are going to go to the top of that chain 2 and do a slip stitch, and we're going to chain 2. Alrighty, so you can see that it's nice and flat. So we are going to yarn over and go into that next stitch, and we're going to do 1 double crochet. The next stitch, we are going to do 2 double crochets in there. It's going to be our pattern. The next stitch, 1, stitch after that 2, and that's what we're going to do all the way around. And this is going to keep our project, the bottom of our little guy, nice and flat. So, if you wanted to make yours larger than mine, you would count this like this. This is your beginning. These are your 2s. These are your 1s because you're putting 1 between every double crochet. The next row, you would put 2 in between every double crochet. The next row would be 3, the next row 4, and the next row 5. That would keep your project totally flat. That's just a little secret. You could make a big, huge blanket and keep it flat. You could make a bigger project than we're working on, make it bigger just by making your base larger. We are making a little miniature one, so we're not gonna go out too far. Just remember 1 double crochet, next one 2, and then 1 again. I hope everyone is having a great day. That's your holiday for Thanksgiving, that you're all rested up and ready for Christmas. I love Christmas. I can't wait to get the tree up, which I have up already. The cats have broken a couple of branches. Oh, but I'm just happy with the lights and the tree up. It's just such a fun time of the year for the kids. So I'm coming around here at the end. You can see how it came out because there's 1 there, and then we did 2. And here we did 2, 1, and we're going to do another one right here to make that 2. So that's our base. Now we want to start making it curve up. So I'm going to chain 2, and what I'm going to do now is do 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and you're going to see it start to curve up. So just continue to do 1 double crochet until you come to the very end. I'm here at the end, and I'm not going to go in that last stitch there, but I am going to go to the top of that chain 2, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. Now you can see it starting to curl up, and I'm going to change my hook to my smaller one. And I do that because I want my stitches to be a little bit tighter. And you are more than welcome to decide that you want to continue to use a large one. It's up to you. But I'm going to chain 2, and I am going to do a single crochet in each stitch for however tall I want my gnome to be. I'm going to turn it like this because this is the right side. So however tall you want your gnome to be, you're just going to keep going. And at the top, we're just going to sew around it and cinch it. So I am going to do approximately 15 rows of single crochets. And when you get over here, you're going to go into this last one here, and then you'll just slip stitch into that chain 2. And then you'll chain 2, and you'll just keep going around. So we are going to do 15 rows of these single crochets, and you are more than welcome to do more or less, depending on how large you would like your project. And I want to tell you thank you for stopping to watch me make my gnome. All my gnomes I did different because I don't have a pattern, and I just wing it. I love to just get an idea and just make it without a pattern, and that's just the way how I do things. So I appreciate everybody who wanted. I did have one suggestion, and I appreciate that, to please make a tutorial on making one. So I hope that this is a good tutorial, and that the lighting's well and you understand my wording, because I really enjoy doing this. So you just keep going until this gnome is as tall as you want it to be. And then we're going to stuff it, and we're going to close it off, and then we're going to start with the legs and move to the arms. You can see that it's already curling up really well. So I'm going to do about 15 rows, and then I will be back. So just keep on going. You can see I'm not going into that stitch, but I am going to go into that chain 2, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. There we go. And I'm going to chain 2, and I'm just going to go not into this stitch, go into the next one, and I'm just going to keep on going. So I will see you back here in just a little bit. Alrighty, so I went around my 15 times, and it's nice and tall. So now we're going to go ahead and put our stuff in for stuffing. I have these little pebbles that I got at the Dollar Tree. You can get them at the Dollar Tree or Walmart. You can see that I've opened it and used some of them. So what I'm going to do is there's not very many left, so I'm just going to stick the whole bag in there for some weight. That they sit up nice and tall, and they don't fall over as easy if you have at least something on the bottom. So now I'm going to grab some stuffing, and I'm not going to overstuff it, but I just want to put it around it. I'm just going to just stick it in there. I'm not shoving it. And I'm not putting it all the way to the top, because now we're going to bring this all together. Okay. Maybe just a little bit more on here. Okay. I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to leave enough so that we can go around. Alrighty, so we have it stuffed, and I have my needle here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go around this top. Let me get some more light here. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go in and out of this top here. Doesn't have to be precise. Just going to go through. We're going to draw it at the top. Nobody's going to see the top because the hat will be on the top. Now the fun part's going to begin. We're going to get to pick our colors for our legs. Get to pick the color for your hat. I'm not going to put a rim on my hat. I'm just going to do my hat one color. But you could always stop before you get to the end and put a white rim on it. I'm not going to put a white rim because I have this white body. It might be too much. But I really do like the ones with the rims. I've made about 5 or 6 of these now. Okay. Let's see, this should be the last one, and I'm going to pull it tight. There we go. Nobody's going to see the top. So I'm just going to take my needle. I'm going to close up the top. And I'm going to tie a knot, and then we're going to get started on the feet. Sorry, the legs. And we're going to start with the feet first. So I'm going to show you how to do one leg, and then you make another so that we can sew them on our body. Okay? So I'm going to start with my white yarn. Did I really cut it that short that I can't find the end? Oh my goodness. Here we go. Alright, so we are going to make a slip knot, and of course if you know how to do a magic circle and you prefer to do that, please do. But I want to do slip knots for beginners just in case you don't know how to do one. So we're using our small crochet hook now. I have my yarn on my hook, and I'm going to chain 4. We are going to go into the stitch right next to the one we just completed. I don't know where my mind went there for a moment. And we're just going to do our single crochets to the end. Now I'm in the end, and I'm going to do another one in the end. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go down this opposite side. You can see the holes. Just go right in them and do single crochets. Do a single crochet in this last one. Now we're going to be going in a circle, so we're not going to have a beginning or an ending. So now what I'd like you to do is just go right in to that chain. You're going to go under 2 strands. Hope you can see this okay. And we're just going to start doing single crochets all the way around. We're going under 2 strands. And we're just going around. As you can see, it's going to curve, like it goes right, my finger just fits right in it. And don't worry about it, because it does look like the stitches are far apart, and they are. And what we're doing is we're bringing them together to make a little foot. Now you can decide how big you want your foot to be. Maybe you want to use black and you want to make go-go boots. It's totally up to you. All my gnomes except for one has had white socks and white mittens. And I don't know why. I just have one. I've only made one with yellow. And it's cute. Alrighty, so we're just going to go up a little bit. You're going to decide how big you want your foot to be. Your white shoe, your whatever you want to call it, your galosh maybe. And we're going around a circle, so there is no end. So now you can look at it and decide how big you want it. I think I'm just going to do a little bit more. So when we get done with however much white you want, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and end it right here, we're going to go in to the next stitch, and we're going to do a slip stitch, which where you pull it through, and then you pull it through the one on your hook. Then we're going to chain 1 and pull it tight, and we're going to cut it. This is our little foot. Now, we're going to do our legs, and I'm going to use this dark green for the leg. So I'm going to put it on my hook. Now remember, I'm showing you how to make this one. You're going to need to make 2. And these tails get in the way, but we can bury them if they don't stay put. So right here where I tied it, I like to use that as the beginning. For me, I don't know why, I just do always put it right here. And then I want to go underneath these 2. The first one's on this side, and then I go through the one in the back. If I can get 2, I'll get 2, but if I can only get 1, I'll just take 1. Pulled it through, pull it through the one on your hook, pull it tight, and chain 1. So now we're going to go through the front 2 here, go through the back 3, back 2 there. We're going to grab it, and we're going to do a single crochet. And we're going to do it to the next one. And then we have the last one. Sometimes you'll have 4, sometimes you'll have 5. So let's just look at that and see if that looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn. Now what we're going to do, the easiest way to explain it is we're going to go in the front, front loops here, and then we're going to turn it over, and we're going to go in those front loops on this side. So we chained our 2, we're going to go into this very first one, okay, this one right here, and we're going to do a single crochet. So the legs, all we're going to do now is we're going to do a single crochet all the way up. Okay, so this one right here is a little bit more difficult. Just going to go right through the knot. I'm going to turn it over. You can see where the fronts are. And it looks like this one is going to be a challenge. So you're just going to have to go through where you can. See how I did that? I just went right underneath that one. And then here is another. And then there's one here. And there's one right here. This is probably the hardest part of the whole thing, is doing this part of the legs and the feet. So we're not going to have a beginning or an end. So we're just going to go right here to the top of this chain, and we're going to go in there, and we're going to do a single crochet. Now we know that we're going to go through underneath two strands. Tourette's there, I'm sorry. 2 strands we're going to go under, and we are going to do single crochets all the way around. And we are going to continue to do this until our legs get as long as we want them to be. If you want short legs, you can have short legs. If you don't want no legs, you don't even have to put legs and arms on. And you can have long legs when you put them on the shelf, that they hang over the edge. And you can see the farther I get, the easier it's getting. I am working pretty fast. So if you're a beginner, just take your time. And And so you just keep turning it and going around and around. And like I said, just make your legs as long as you want them. And then we will take them and we will sew them on here. One here and one here. So just keep on going until your leg is as long as you would like it, and then do your other leg. And the hands are going to work out pretty much the same, except for, the mittens, they have a thumb. So we do need to put a thumb on there, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we have our body done and our legs. So if you're going to do a guy leg, you could put them like just a little bit apart. But if you do a girl leg, you're going to want your legs to be crossed. And what I did is I just put a piece of yarn through, all the way through, and tied it. Just to tie it right here to have their legs together. And then you would sew it on here like that. Or put their legs a little closer and just cross them. I'm making a boy, so I'm going to sew mine on this way. And that's why I left that green, because I'm just going to use that to sew it right together. So make sure you look at yours and figure out where you want your front to be. I know I want where I sewed it together. Where is that? Right here in the back. So this is my front. It's going to be really simple to sew the legs on. And then we will know where our center point is. But if it's off to the side a little bit, like I said, you're not gonna ruin it if it's not totally perfect. So I want my leg right here. So I'm just gonna lift it up like this. And I want to sew it right here. So I'm going to go down, and when I bring it through, I'm going to take it through both sides, this side and the other side, because remember we went around in a circle. And I'm going to go through it twice. I like these plastic needles, but I know that if I used the metal ones, they'd probably be better. They might be easier to go through. I don't know, but I really like the plastic ones. You can use whatever you have. And go through twice on each end. Go through twice on each, oops. That leg looks pretty good. And I'm going to have to put it back on my needle because I pulled it all the way through. And then I'm going to tie a knot. Then I'm just going to bury it up inside the leg. I'll do one more time here. I just love these gnomes. And now that you got started, you can see it's not taking very long at all. Not taking long at all. It's one knot. 2 knots. I'm just going to go up on the inside of the leg. Pull it out. And cut it. And I got my leg. So, like I said, you're going to have a girl, you're going to want to cross her legs. So you're going to want to, you know, sew it on appropriately. You might want to just go through with your needle and thread. All I did was come up and go through and tied it in the back and buried it. And I'm going to sew my other leg on. Oh, I didn't cut it yet. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so long. Okay. If you saw the last video I just did, you'll understand why I save all my pieces that I cut off now and make a ball, because I just never know how much yarn to keep to sew something on, and so I always seem to have extra yarn, or I always have to seem to cut my yarn and always have so much left over. So you can see here about on this line is where I started sewing that one, so I'm going to put this one on the same line. And if you don't, if it's a little cockeyed, you know, I guess to me, sometimes it doesn't matter if your projects are totally perfect. I have one, and his legs were not they didn't match up. But he was the cutest little thing. He was still adorable. There we go. I'm going to do one more in the middle. Tie a knot here. I'm going to tie another knot for good measure. And I'm going to go up his leg and just bury it. Yay! His legs are done. He's got stuffing in his toes. Alright. So, when we put his hat, okay, we're going to put his nose here. His hat has to drape over his nose, and his arms have to be underneath his hat, because his arms are going to hang down. So if you're making a girl, what I did to cover the mouth is I sewed the arm on sideways and had the hand here underneath the nose where the mouth was. So it looks like she's covering her mouth. I also did not put braided pigtails on her, but you could put pigtails on your girl. So if you wanted to make pigtails and put them on, this would be the perfect time to do that. So we're going to make the arms. I'm going to make my mittens white again. We are going to do the same thing as we did with the feet, except for we're going to put an arm. We're going to put fingers on them. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm just going to show you how to do one, because this video is getting pretty long, I think. And you're probably tired of listening to me jabber. Okay, so we're just going to chain 4, just like we did for the feet. For the little, we're going to go into that first stitch. We're going to do single crochets crossed. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 2 in this last stitch, 2 single crochets. Now we're going to go in these back ones. Put one in here. You cannot go wrong. Now I'm going to start going in under both strands. And I'm just going to keep going around. Put your finger in there and press it out. Like I said, if you don't want to put arms and legs on yours, you definitely don't have to. You could just do the body and do the hat and the nose and put some hair on him for his beard. Totally up to you. All right, we're going to figure out where we want our thumb to be. And if you have a girl, of course, you want the thumb to be at the top right underneath the nose. I think that's enough then. So I went 1, 2, 3 rows. So for your thumb, it's simple. You're just going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to go into not the same one, but the next stitch, just like you were doing before. Let's go around to that side and show you how we're going to close that up to make that look like a little thumb. It's not very complicated. Okay. So here's where the thumb is, right? So I went in this one before. We're going to pull the thumb out. And we're going to go into this one right here, right above the last one we did. And that makes the thumb stick out. But that rotten little tail there, it's not making it look good. Okay. There's your thumb. So if you want your thumb to be a little bigger, I like 4. If you wanted your thumb to be bigger, you could do 5 or 6 stitches. Oh my goodness. So we're going to go ahead and just go around this after you do your thumb 2 more times. And then we're going to do our slip stitch and we're going to do our arm just like we did for the legs. Now the arms, we want to measure how long we want them, because the hat's going to come about right here. Then we're going to have the nose and then some hair. So I'm going to say it's going to come about, oh, let's just say we want to sew it here. So you're going to measure, you don't want it to be too long, like dragging, but maybe right here to right here. So that's how long I want my arm to be. So after your thumb, you're just going to go around 2 more times, end it, stuff it, and then do your arms. And this is my second row because I already did 1 row past that. And so when I get over here on the opposite side of the thumb, I think that's where I'm going to do my slip stitch. My goodness, I can't see what I'm doing here. That cute little thumb. Okay, now I'm going to do my slip stitch here. Bring it all the way through, chain 1, pull it, and cut it off. And I'm going to bury it right inside there. These hands are really little, so if you don't want to stuff them, you definitely don't have to. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference if you put it in there. I've gotten carried away, forgot to stuff hats, and it didn't really make much of a difference. I'm just going to put a little bit in there, as much as I can stuff in there, because that's an awful little opening. There we go. So I got a little bit of stuffing in there, and it's ready for the arm. And like I said, the arm is going to, or I'm going to use this different colored green now for my arms. Get my slip stitch going here. So I'm going to go through 2 strands here, 2 strands on the other side. I want my thumb to be right there on the side. I don't want it to, because this is going to be flat, so we want the thumb on the side. And we're going to pull it all the way through. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go through the next one. Just single crochet, go through the next one all the way through, single crochet, and to the very last one. There we go. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to turn, and now I'm going to start going in the back loops only, and then I'm going to turn around and come here and go through the front loops and do a round circle. And that's what we did with the legs. So this is the same thing, but they don't need to be as long as the legs. I love this color green. Trying to decide what color I'm going to make the hat. Turn it. Now you can see the front row ones here. Boy, this light and the green really made a difference. You can see it so much better. you can just start going through 2. And you're just going to keep going around until your arm is as long as you want it to be. Get these pesky arms done, and then we can do the fun part. Yeah, the legs and the arms are not my most favorite part. I mean, I like doing them. It's fun to pick the colors. I really liked when I did one, I used the variegated because I didn't know how it was going to come out, but it came out looking pretty good. Well, this needs to come through here. There we go. So just keep going. Oh, cat hair. So just keep going until your arm is as long as you want it to be. So I'm going to connect my arm right here because I'm sure it will be under the hat. And I don't want my arm to touch the ground. I just don't want my arms touching the ground. If you want yours to touch the ground and be all long, feel free to just make them as long as you want them. So you're going to make 2 arms, and then we will meet back here. So we have the legs and the body. I have arms. You know, we're going to go ahead and do the hat before we sew the arms on, so we can see how low the hat's going to be, and that way we can make sure we sew the arms on right underneath the hat. And when you sew it on, make sure that your thumb is facing forward. And once we get the hat done, then we can put these on, and then we'll make the nose and put the nose on. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on the hat, which is the funnest part of all. Alrighty, I'm so excited. The treetop. The top of our gnome. And it's going to look like a tree. That's what I want it to look like. So we are going to take whatever color you want your hat to be. I just want it to be this dark green. We're going to slip knot, stick it on our little tiny 3.5. All right. And we are going to go ahead and chain 3. Now we're going to go right back inside that very first stitch. We're going to be doing single crochets, and we're going to do a total of 4. I'm not going to worry about that tail because I will bury it later. So we're going to do 4 in there. Once again, we're just going to keep going in a circle, so I'm not going to have a beginning or an end because we're just going to keep going. So we are going to go into this chain 2 spot, like right inside of it, like it was a stitch. We're going to do a single crochet in there. And now we're just going to do a single crochet all the way around. Now, if you want to use a stitch marker, because that's why I showed you a stitch marker, you can go ahead and put it here for where you began. But I don't care if my hair, my hat is a little kooky looking. So I don't really care where my beginning was. So just do some single crochets around. I like my hat to kind of have a pointy top. So when you go around like that, look at there. We got a nice pointy top. Now, from here on out, I'm going to go in the back loops only and do a single crochet. So now we're just going to go in the back loops only. So just look, you You can see the V here. We're just going to go in the back loop. And this is going to give a really cute little effect. It's going to give it a little ridge that's almost going to look like a Christmas tree. You could hang things from this. Put little blings or buttons, because I put little blings on mine. You could just do a lot with that. Okay, I don't need to go in the same stitch. Kind of looks, it's kind of easier when you look down at like a cup. And you can see the V's and you only go in the back stitches. Just takes you a while to get there because you got to do a few rows before it actually works that way. And you can see that there is a little bit from the front row. So now I think this is good enough for my tip. Now I want my hat to get a little bigger. I just like my tip to be a little bit. So now wherever you are, whenever you're done, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. We're going to do 1 in the next, 1 in the next, and this increases it. So now we're starting to make our hat bigger. I'm going to do 2 in the next. I'm going to do, and see how you can see that it's getting bigger. So now I can decide where I want to make it start getting bigger and I don't want it to get bigger. If I want this to lean one way, which I did in my other ones, which I really liked because it kind of like leaned back. Like here's the hat and this kind of leaned back on its own. I'll show you how I did that. So I'm going to do 2 and 1 stitch. Now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to turn it. I'm just going to start going into both stitches here. And I'm not going to go in that first one, but I'm going to go in the second one. I'm just going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn. And I'm going to do 3 on my way back. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just going to go right down here to the first one down here. And I'm just going to go through both loops because, you know, you can go in the back loops if you wanted to have that little extra design, but I decided I don't really care about it. So I'm just going to go through both loops. And I'm going to do a single crochet all the way around. This is going to make my hat kind of loop a little bit, or not, be uneven. So when you get here, you do your last single crochet, you're just going to go right up here to the top. Pull it through, make it nice and tight. Go to the next one. Now you're just going to do a couple of rows of single crochets. See how that it looks? Kind of made it look like it's going one way. And this is faster. I decided I'm just going to make it faster. We're just going to go right through 2 loops. So now you see here, I'm right back here to where I started going up again. So I think I'm just going to do 2 double crochets in here. And you can decide to do that wherever you want to. You don't have to do this exactly like I'm doing. I'm just saying you're going to be adding here and there. I'm going to do 2 single ones, and then I'm going to do a double here. Because every time you increase, your hat's going to get bigger. But every once in a while, in between your increases, you want to do a single or crochet all the way around, just so it gets bigger gradually. And so right now I'm doing 2 single crochets, and then I'm doing 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So I'm right back here where I started. So for you people that are probably like going crazy right now because I didn't use a stitch marker, I'm going to go ahead and put one right here where I started doing that big heel. Just going to stick it right there. So we can look up and we can see every time we start changing our stitches, we're just going to do it right about in this area. So now I'm just going to do a row of single crochets. You can see my hat kind of droops over a little bit now. How it points that way naturally. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be perfect to a point. If you want yours perfect to a point, then don't do this part right here. And this is going to depend on how big you want your hat, how tall you want your hat, how fast you want it to get bigger. Boy, my poor gnome has a lot of green. I love green. It's my most favorite color. So, whether he's a boy or a girl, you're going to make this hat. Okay, so that row was a single crochet all the way across. Now I want to increase. And so I think I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then 2 in the same stitch. That will make it get bigger faster. The farther apart you have your double crochets, the slower it's going to get bigger. The hat is my most favorite part of doing. The body, I always just seem to make them too fat. So this one I'm pretty happy with because I didn't make him look like he is Santa Claus and made of Jello. Didn't hear this. stitch marker. You can move it up if you want, but I'm pretty happy with it down there out of the way of my thumb. So now I'm going to go around with a single crochet, because I do want it to grow bigger, but I want it to do it gradually. So if you have a single crochet in between each one, it's going to get bigger gradually. And so I'm repeating myself now, I think. So I would like everyone who watches this to please give me a message if you can. I know it's hard. You can't if you watch TV, but if you watch me on your phone, let me know if I heard that people on YouTube do better if they don't talk about personal things, or they just show you what they're supposed to show you and they don't talk at all. And I didn't know if that was true, because I kind of like to watch people that talk and say a little bit about themselves. It makes me feel more personable and close to them, because I just like that. So I wanted to know how you feel. Alrighty, we're almost here again, back. Love doing these hats, love them. Okay, let's stop and take a look, see how fast he's growing. He's grown perfect. I like the way his hat just goes like this. So when I put him on the head, okay, you want to keep looking, because eventually the hat's going to get big enough to go down to about here. Because remember, we still got to put the nose, and then this has to drape over the nose. So when I put my hat on, I think I'm going to have it go like this. So when you look at him, you can see his hat drooping. That's what I want. Drooping at the top. So now, what did we just do? We did the single crochets all the way around. And I think I'm going to do another row of single crochets, because I really don't want this hat to grow too fast. So if you want your hat to be like really super tall, you could do 2 rows of single crochets in between your increase rows. I encourage everybody to make things their own. My daughter's gnomes are adorable, and she doesn't have any legs or arms or anything, but she does fancy hats. I'm like, ooh, those hats are really pretty, but I just like mine, and I think I'm going to put a little something on my hat for this little guy. You know, at the Dollar Tree, they sell those necklaces that look like little tiny light bulbs. That would be absolutely perfect to buy one, cut it, and then just drape it all over your gnome. Oh, Emily talking. Okay. Came to the marker. So now I'm going to do 2 double crochets. I'm going to do 2 single crochets, and then 2 double crochets. Two single and 2 double. Two singles. And you know, once you start doing this and you're going really fast, it works up very quickly. If I can get a hold of the yarn. The hat is my favorite, but also it's the hardest for me to explain to you unless you actually see me do it. So you can fast forward through this if you want to just watch me do it really super fast. Okay. So looky there. Doesn't that look beautiful? And when I get done with it and I do my slip stitch, I'm going to want to do it in the back of my hat. So I'll be doing it back here. Just something that I like to do. All right. So, you need to be bigger and we need to make you wider. So now we are going to do another row of the single crochets all the way around. Okay. Our hat's looking good. And it's coming out looking really nice. So now let's do 2 double crochets in this first one. 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets. 1 double crochet and 2. And we're going to do that all the way around. So it's getting really nice and wide here at the bottom. Woo! We're getting there. Now remember, if you want yours to be taller than mine, just keep doing those single crochets. So our next row is going to be a row of single crochets all the way around. So I like it. Like it, like it, like it. I do want it to be a little bit taller, I think. But it's fitting around the head really nicely. So I think I'm going to do another row. I'm going to do 2 more rows of single crochets. You don't need to watch me do that. So 2 more rows of single crochets all the way around, and we'll be right back. So and around 2 more times. And, oh, my hat is doing wonderful. It's going to cover his little head. I think it's covering as much as I want it to cover. Now, if we're going to, I'm leaning my hat back a little bit and putting the nose here. So if you're doing a little girl hat, to put the little ruffle around the top, you would chain 2, do a slip stitch, chain 2, and the very next one, do a slip stitch, and you do that all the way around for that little ruffle effect. Okay? But I'm not doing a girl, so I'm not going to do that. For those of you that are doing a girl, that's what you want to do. So I know that I'm going to put my hat on this way. I'm going to lean it back a little bit. So I'm going to do my slip stitch in the back, which is about right where I am. Remember, like I said, if you want your hat to be larger, all you got to do is put in some of those single crochets in there. I'm going to tie a knot here. And it will make your hat longer. I'm not worried about this because this is just, I'm just going to push it under here. Okay. So I'm going to take my marker off now. He's wearing my bling. There we go. Okay, so I know I'm going to have it a little bit like this. We can put our arms on now. Here's his front. I'm going to put his nose like right here. And I want my arms. And by the way, my arms are 2 different sizes. Don't ask me how I manage that. So make sure your thumb is pointing this way. And it's going to fit right under my hat like that. So I'm going to hold it here. And I'm going to go into this row. So I'm just going to put it on the row that I want to sew it on. This row right here. Get my needle. Now, you need to decide where you want your arms to be, because you have your legs here. And you don't want your arms to be too close to your leg, like, hi. No. Just a little bit back. And you want it to be on this row right here. I'm going to turn it upside down. I always find it easier to turn it upside down. And so it's going to be this row right here. I always like to go through twice on that first one. There's not very many rows here to do. But you want to make sure that you get the front and the back. Because remember, that's kind of just open there. You can see how I went through it. I like it. And you know, you're not even really going to see it because the hat should go over it. So we're just going to tighten a knot. Bury it in my arm here and cut it. So, ta-da! My little arm. And I'm going to take my other arm, my short arm. He's not going to be perfect. Oh well. So I'm just going to look, and I kind of want it to be right here. This arm is like wanting to be out. So you know what? I'm just going to sew this arm on the other way. Get my needle on here. I just love creating, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. And I'm kind of thinking about how I'm going to decorate him. So we want his thumb to be pointing this way. This is his short arm. Nobody's perfect, right? So he doesn't have to be perfect either. And we're just going to look, but see how it starts going down? So I'm going to put his arm up here. And let's see, let's see. That look about right? Yeah. I'm going to sew him on this way. And that way, this arm is going to want to stay down more, and this arm is going to want to be out, like do-do-do, and this arm's going to be hugging his body. So, I just like that. I'll have a little, two different arms. They aren't going to be positioned the exact same. One arm is going to be out there grabbing for a cup of coffee or hot chocolate, and the other one is just going to be by his side. And all these ends up here on top, we're going to cover with the hat. So I'm not really worried about them too much. Tie this in a knot. I hate to say it, but this foot wants to just lean in. He's going to need corrective shoes. Oh, I wore them for years when I was a child. Oh, it was horrible. Okay. His thumbs are hanging in, and if he's a girl, you're going to want to take this arm, and you're going to want to put it like this underneath the nose. So why don't we go ahead and work on the nose? Let's do the nose. You can pick whatever color you want, and I'm going to pick pink. Ooh, this is a pretty pink too. This nose is really easy. It's not very many rows. It will only take a moment. So I'm going to do a slip knot. And we're going to chain 3. Get some yarn off. We're going to go into this very first stitch. We're going to do a single crochet. We're going to do another. So now we have 3 because that chain 3 is going to count as a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull that. See if it tightens up a little bit. Now again, we're just going to keep going. So we're just going to go up here to this top, not the chain 3, but the one next to it. And we're just going to start doing single crochets. And you can see it's starting to curve. I pulled this to close that up. We're not going to do too many rows. We're just going to keep going around in single crochets until we get how big we want our nose to be. And our nose is going to go this way on the gnome. And the noses are known to be pretty prominent. Now, if you don't want to do this and you have a bead that you'd like to hot glue there, you definitely could. Let's see. How does that look? Maybe a little bit more. I want my gnome's nose to be nice and big. And I am going to wrap. I just wrap this around to keep it from opening up on the end. Okay. I think my nose is big enough. I don't need to have too big of a nose. So, we're going to cut our yarn, but we want to leave enough so that we can sew it on. End it. I'm going to grab a little bit of stuffing. Stuffing will make your nose nice and nice and big. Hopefully, if we can get it in there. I think my other noses were like huge. And I like the pink for a nose. My other gnomes had brown for noses. My little girl did have a pink nose. I just thought that was really feminine to have a pink nose. Okay. So this is your nose. I like this side the best. So I'm going to get my needle once again. And I'm just going to go in and out. Oops, what did I do here? What did I do? I put the whole skein on my needle instead of this little piece. Oh my goodness. Easy fix, easy fix. There we go. So just look at the top. And I'm going to pull it tight. Nice and tight. Now I have a nice little nose. I'm not very happy with you over there, so I'm going to have to go there and fix that. So let's get our gnome. I don't think we're going to need that anymore, but we'll see. So, where'd my hat go? Okay, this is how your hat's going to go. I'm going to lean it back a little bit towards the back. I'm going to have my arms covered, and we're going to have our nose under it. So I have the openings on each side. I want my nose to be right. I want my nose to be like this underneath. And the nose is going to stick out a little bit. So that's the perfect spot. I'm going to throw my hat off. Now I'm just going to sew it on here. I'm going to manhandle this nose. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. I'm going to manhandle this nose. Oops, I'm sorry. So I'm going through the white. And see, I'm bringing my nose down. So I want my nose to be like this. And this right here, where it's open, is really bugging me. So I'm going to close that up. Now, you know, I wouldn't have that problem if I would have used a magic circle. But I know that not everybody uses the magic circle, so sometimes I try not to, just because I want to make it easier for you. Okay, so here's my nose. Pretty happy with it. I'm going to close that up there too, because I see an opening. Okay, perfect nose. Is it in the center of my legs? I guess I should have looked at that pretty much. And so now I'm ready to just tie it here. Let's see, I'm going to do it behind it a little bit more. And I'm going to pull my nose. And my nose is set. But I am going to go through right here near the top. Don't come off. And I'm going to do it here just because I don't want my nose to be all wobbly. Now it's more secure, even though the hat's going to be over it. And so now I'm going to tie a knot. I know I'm moving him all over the place. It just makes it easier for me to tie knots and stuff. Okay. Remember, nobody's going to see this. It's going to be buried with your hat. Do not let me put the hat on without stuffing it. Gosh. Oh, I do that a lot. Okay. Ta-da! He's bare without his hat. Okay. So excited he's coming out so nicely. I'm going to get rid of a few of these things I got around here. My hook. I don't think we're going to need that anymore. Oh, yes, we will. Because I'm going to show you how to do that. Flowers for the hat. So we're going to do that at the end. So now we can see that our hat is going to go like this around his body, around his arms, which his thumbs are facing forward. This arm wants to come out and go howdy doody. This one wants to stay close. I like that. Okay. So now we're going to sew our hat on. If you wanted to put some buttons or things on here, now is the time. My flower that I put on my hats for my little girl, I hot glued them on. So let's stuff the hat. And I don't need that much. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Just so it stays nice and puffy. See, I didn't put too much in there, and I'm not like shoving it in there. Put my hat back on him. Oh, he looks like a cutie. Looks like a cutie. You get back up in there. Now, we are going to sew his hat on, so let's just go ahead and get our green yarn. Figure out how you want your hat. I want my hat to be like this. And lean over to the edge so that when you look at it, you can see it leaning. I want my hat to be kind of like this. And I want this to go around the nose. So where I'm going to start is I'm going to start right here at the nose. And I'm just grabbing yarn from underneath. I'm going to pull my yarn almost all the way through. I'm going to leave me some right here. And to make sure that I don't pull that through, I'm going to go back a little bit. And I'm going to come out here. So once I go all the way around, I will tie that piece in a knot. There we go. So I'm just going to keep going. Make sure I get that nose in there a little. I'm holding my hat in place. And I want his nose, so I don't want it to be like flat around his nose, so that's why I'm making it go around his nose. Get underneath some of this white and bring it up into the green. There we go. Now the rest will be a lot easier. Just make sure that your arms are underneath your hat. You can do it here if you want to. You can go through here. You can go through wherever you want to. Just make sure that when you go down that you do get some of that white. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I cover the arm up. I am using a plastic needle. Probably would be a lot better if you were using a hard needle or a steel needle. Maybe I do have one somewhere, but I just never dig it out because I really just like this one. And I'll tell you what, when I get done doing this, I will cheat, because if there's something sticking up or something I don't like, I will hot glue it. And you can hot glue this acrylic yarn. Definitely can hot glue this. And if your glue is really hot, whoops. If your glue is really hot, it will just bond it together. And again, we're not making this as a toy. We're making this as a decoration. So you can hot glue all kinds of stuff on the hat. Believe me, it just seals right up. I know my grandkids see them and they're like, oh, they want to touch them and squish them. And I'm like, no, those are to look at, not to play with. So you see my stitches aren't like right on top of each other. And you could go back one if you wanted to. hat down a little bit more. There we go. Cover his little arm. There we go. This is very satisfying for me, I gotta tell you. I really am enjoying myself. Okay, little arm, you're under there. I'm pretty happy with that. Oh my goodness, I am home alone, so if you hear anything, it's my cats. They're actually being pretty quiet this morning. They were so loud last night. Having 8 of them is like having a herd of buffalo. I'm telling you. So, now that I'm near the arm here, I just want to make sure that I do a really good job here. Okay. Almost there. I know I got some of that arm. It's really crazy as much and as hard as I pull and yank on these. Ooh, that one you can see it's getting, I've never broken one. I've lost many, but I've never broken any. Okay, so I'm going to tie a nice knot right here. Now remember, if you wanted to and you didn't want to sew it, you could always use your hot glue gun. A couple of them I sewed and a couple I did the hot glue gun. And the hot glue gun goes a lot quicker, I'll tell you. And I haven't had a problem with it falling apart. I just made sure that I let it sit there and get really good and hot and did not get impatient. And in between using the hot glue gun, I just kept letting it get hot. I'm just having a heck of a time. There we go. You're in there. Now you need to go. There we go. Hat is on. Yay! Okay, so if he's a girl for you, this is where you would take and you would put the hand over the mouth. Excuse me. And you could put a couple of little braids hanging on each side. He's a guy, so we're going to put some, we're going to put a beard on him. So go ahead and choose what color you want for your beard. I think you know what, I didn't even think about it. So I guess I'm going to use what I have sitting right here next to me. I'm going to use brown. So he's going to have some brown hair. So I usually put the hair on before I put the hat on. Okay, so I want my hair to be about that long. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. And on your nose on, you can put your hair on. Okay. So I have a whole bunch of these strands. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it here. And I'm going to cut the bottom. And these are my strands of hair, but I'll show you how to do the little flower in just a moment. So I'm going to take one piece, I'm going to fold it in half. It's kind of like when you make fringe for a blanket or something. I'm just going to pull it through. I'm going to open it up and pull the rest of that through. And I'm going to pull it tight. And I'm only using one strand at a time. That's my preference. You could use more if you wanted to. And if you don't like the hair, you don't have to put hair. You could put flowers all over the belly for a little girl. You could do whatever you want. You could put your grandchild's initial on it. That would be so cute. I'm a grandma, so I guess I'm always thinking about my grandkids. You know, when you're a parent, all you do is think about your kids. And you love them, and they're the most important thing in the world. And you never think you're ever going to love anything more than your own grandkids, than your own children. And then you have grandkids, and it's just like this most amazing thing in the world just happened to you. All this love and protection that you have inside of you that you were worried you lost when your children grew up and moved away just comes back. Now, I kind of like the gruffy look with the beard here. So I'm going to tell you the truth that I'm probably not going to trim it. I did trim it on some of my other ones. My daughter told me you shouldn't have trimmed it, you should just leave it like that. Well, my son has a beard. A very nice beard. So for his birthday, I got him the beard club. And he was happy. That's what he wanted. And my daughter, we celebrate his birthday when we do our Thanksgiving dinner. And we always do that the weekend before Thanksgiving. And my son, she got him a cake, and it was a cake of a beard. And she ordered it, and it looked really good, and he was really happy with it. So I don't think I'm going to trim this beard. I think I'm just going to leave it all alone. In honor of my son, who has the longest, like the way I went under and picked his nose for him. He has a nice long beard. And I don't want my beard on this dude to be too thick. I kind of like it like this. Or I could have just took the hot glue gun and I could have hot glued some of this on him. And I did do that to one of my gnomes, and it looked really good. It looked really nice. And my granddaughter is giving that one to her teacher for Christmas. And I did make one. It was my favorite. And I did make him green like this, but his body was green. His hat was a different color green. Oh, he was so cute. Same color of these greens, but he was adorable. He was my favorite. We gave him away to someone very special for Christmas. And I hope she enjoys just looking at him because he is a cutie. He was my favorite. But these gnomes are all finding homes for Christmas. And if I keep one, I do. And if I don't, well, I guess I'll have to make myself another one next year. I made a whole bunch of hand warmers. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 grandkids stockings. Everybody got one except for Archie because he's only 2. Really didn't think he needed anything fingerless. And then for the grown-ups, I made 2 more. Oh! So I made quite a few fingerless gloves. I am home a lot by myself. My son lives with me, but I'm home a lot. So if I chatter a lot, you guys get to hear. Because you know how they always say, you meet an old lady at the grocery store and they'll talk to you until, you're just like, what the heck? Well, it's because you're the only person that they get to see all a day long. So that's why you should always be courteous to the older people in the grocery store, because you never know if you're the only person that they get to talk to for the day. And I love going to the Walmart in my area because, oh my goodness, I cut way too many of these. The young girls that watch you when you go through the checkout, they're watching, and they are just sweet as heck. They'll always come and help you if you need help. And then they'll stand there and visit with you. My daughter didn't go with me one day, and so I was just talking to one of them about how they had things missing off their shelves, and she said one of their trucks didn't come, and we just started talking. She was so sweet. And then my daughter always helps me run my card, which sometimes I get anxious, and the young lady did it for me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how sweet. So yeah, this brown is really cute. It's kind of shimmering. It's kind of a shimmer. Because this is from like a Karen, an Ogo yarn. This is left from an Ogo yarn. So it's kind of shimmery. I really like it. It almost has like different colors in it. But like I said, I really should have put the hair on before I put the hat on. But that's okay. We're going to improvise. There. I don't mind if the beard is not too full myself, but that's because I like being able to see the color of the body through the hair. You, my friend, might have to be hot glued down. Oh, there you went. Nice and easy. Nice nose. There we go. So just put your hair on first. That'll save you the headache of what I just had to go through. Oh, okay. So he is extremely adorable and cute. I'm going to show you what he looks like in front of the Christmas tree. But before I do that, I would like to show you how to make the flower that goes on the girl's hat. It's chunky and it's really soft. I made hats and a scarf out of it. And the cats, I see, have chewed on the end, so let's cut that off. Alrighty. In order to make this flower, I'm going to do a slip knot, and I'm going to put it right on my hook. I'm not going to pull it really tight because we're going to go right back into that. Oops, oops, oops. You know what? Let's use the big hook. This yarn is nice and thick, and I do not need tassel with it. So if I was using that regular yarn, I probably would have stuck with that small needle or the small hook. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to go into that very first stitch, and I am going to do a total of 8 single crochets. Okay, I'm going to stick with the same color. If you want to, this is where you would change your color. So I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does that look better? That looks so much better. And then we're going to slip stitch. My other little one, I only did 5. But you know what? I was using that really thin yarn. So we did 10. slip stitch in the next one. And we're going to chain 10. And we are going to slip stitch into that same stitch again. You can see the pattern we're going into now. These are our petals. So we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. I'm going to chain 10. Slip stitch in that same stitch. You can really see our flower starting to go, take off. I'm going to chain 10. I'm going to slip stitch in that same one. We're going to continue to do that all the way around. Alrighty, I found my buttons. I bought these at Joann's. Okay, I gotta say I kind of like the green, but my gnome has so much green. So you could put yellow. Ooh, I like the big one in there. And these are buttons, so they can be sewed on. But then at the same time, I could hot glue that in there. And then I could just hot glue it right on the side. Wow, that is huge. I could just put one button right here if I wanted to. Which seems like, I don't know why, but gnomes seem to have like buttons. One button. So I could do that too. Which I think I will do. So what I'm going to do is I am going to sew this button on, and then we are going to go and see what our gnome looks like under the Christmas tree. So here is our gnome. He is extremely cute. Look at his, okay, thank you, Coco. His little legs are hanging over the edge, cute. I love his beard. He still has that one foot that wants to angle in. But I'm not going to let it bother me, even though I say that every time I see it. His little arms and his hat is perfect. He is a little gnome, so if you make a bigger one, just remember to do those extra stitches up there. I think his beard looks good, even though I put it on after the nose. Please do yourself a favor and just put it on before. And he is super cute. Okay, move out of the way, Mr. Meow Meow. I know. I have 8 cats, so when I say everybody in the neighborhood comes when I'm doing something, I truly mean it. Anyway, he came out extremely cute, but I would like to show you my girl gnome. Now, I told you we were working on a little gnome. He is little. This is the girl gnome I made with her legs crossed. She is littler than him. She has her arm like this over her mouth. Isn't that adorable? And then this is her flower with the bling. And she is just a cutie. And so he is just a little bit smaller than her. Now when I made her, she was small. So let's move him and put her partner next to her. And he is very heavy. And he's big. And you can see I made his socks different. You know, they're the same colors in each leg, but I just made them different. And her, I did not double her arms. After I made the hands, I just went back and forth. So that's always an option. I did the same with her legs. I did the feet, like I showed you, and then I just The reason I did that with her was because I was afraid that these thick ones would be too thick to cross, but they're really not. This just saved yarn and made her a little bit lighter. So this is her partner, and I say that because their bodies both are purple. And see how nice he looks? I did put his hair on before I put the hat on. And I didn't put a rim on our little guy's hat. But you can see here what it looks like with the white rim. And for him, I just put bling on it, and I did hot glue that bling on, and it's staying on really nice. And I made this, and I hot glued it on. I did sew my button on him, though. So, you know what, there's just so many different things that you can do with these gnomes. So please make it your own. Like I said, I don't have a pattern. I winged all my gnomes. I have a few other ones I made. And it's just a lot of fun. Oh, that's Mr. Meow Meow. That's Alex. And over here sleeping, or pretending he's not really interested, is Coco. Coco, can you say hi? Can you say hi? Coco, up here. Say hi. Hello, everybody. Hi. Oh, he's such a little sweetie. Oh, I love my cats. And anyway, let me show you something else that's really super cute. So my grandkids got these wooden gnomes and painted them for me. I haven't gotten all my Christmas decorations out yet and moved everything so I can get it all figured out. But they brought these for me for my birthday. And there's 3 grandsons and my daughter made one. But aren't they cute? They're just little wooden gnomes. I love them. And then I'm ashamed to show you this little gnome here I made. I don't even know. He's so little. Try to make it like my daughter's, but hers doesn't have arms. He doesn't have legs. It's a little girl, so I put braids here. I put a mouth on her, and she has a dark blue nose, and then her hat is so pointy, and I just put bling on her. The mouth, I don't like the mouth. I kind of like the little braids, so if you want to put braids on yours, that's fine. But I didn't put no legs on her, but I did put arms. And her mouth is, when you first look at it, you're like, what? What is that? Yeah, that's her mouth that I hot glued. It's a chain I hot glued on. I'm so embarrassed to show this. But, you know, when we're trying stuff out, sometimes we make stuff that's not as pretty as we'd hope. So, maybe he'll be a gift. She will be a gag gift. I don't know. Anyway, I want to tell you, everybody, thank you for watching. I hope this was a good tutorial for you. I did get one request asking me to show me how to make the girl gnome. So I appreciate that because it did make me do the tutorial. It inspired me to do the tutorial. Well, you guys all have a great day. Stay safe, and I will be back soon. Thank you. Bye.